Hello and welcome. I'm gonna try and film this video before the gay rave next door gets too loud or the Cubs game gets too loud, because both are happening on my street and it's not the best. But welcome to an episode of It Could Have Been One Book, where I talk about a huge series that could have been one book. This is about the series, I think it's called Gild. The first book's called Gild. I don't know if the rest of the series is called Gild, but this is about this girl named Auren, and she is gold. And she has ribbons on her back that she can move around, and she usually just uses them as like a little belt that she wraps around herself. And she is a saddle, which basically just means like sex worker, I guess. She's a saddle for King Midas, who everything he touches turns to gold, and she's a favored saddle, so that is why she's gold, because she was touched by Midas and he made her gold. And Midas never has sex with her, apparently, because she's too precious, and he keeps her in a cage, which is why it's called Gild. Halfway through this book, this other king is like, oh, what would it cost for me to have sex with her? And everyone's like, oh my god, I can't believe he asked that, because King Midas is very protective over this golden bitch. And King Midas is like, if you give me your armies to go fight King Rot, you can have sex with her for one night. And everyone's like, that's crazy. And she's like, King Midas would never let him touch me. What? I don't understand. Like, he loves me. How could he do this to me? And he is like, Auren, you have to trust me, like, it's all gonna be fine. And so then, nothing, that's it. That's all that happens in the first book. We get to, it's just a bunch of her being like, oh my god, I don't want this dude to fuck me. And King Midas being like, don't worry about it. Do you trust me? And her being like, I love King Midas with all of my heart, so I'm gonna trust King Midas. And then, at the end, he's like, all right, it's time, it's the day, I'm gonna fuck this golden bitch. This soldier comes up and he's like, King, whatever the fuck your name is, your army is being destroyed by King Midas's, like, it was all a ploy. And then he dies. And then that's the end of the first book. And that was 400 pages, I think. It was 400 pages. It could have been just a chapter, honestly, because like all that happens is a king says, oh, I want to fuck your favored saddle, and King Midas says, sure, for your entire army, and then he kills him for his entire army and now kingdom. So, but that was 300 pages. It didn't need to be. And then we get to the next book, where I think it's 4 books. I think the book is, there's a new book coming out soon, September, I think. But so then Auren is being transported to King whatever his name's kingdom is, because now King Midas is taking over King whatever his name is kingdom. And during this process of being transported, hi, oh yes, right in front of the camera, yes, perfect, thank you. While she's being transported, they are ambushed by pirates, and they are taken captive by these pirates, and then they break free, and she, thank you, the pirate captain dude is like, well, if you guys are gonna get out of here, I'm gonna have sex with this golden bitch one time. And she ends up turning him to gold, which everyone is like, oh my god, wait, how did you do that? Like, how could you have some of King Midas's powers? Like, that makes no sense. And she's like, oh my god, they're gonna find out my secret. Like, holy shit, this is so terrible. And so, then King Rot, but we don't know him as King Rot right now. We know him as Commander Rip, which is just as terrible as a name. Commander Rip, like R.I.P.? Like R.I.P.? Anyway, Commander Rip is the dude who's saving them from the pirates. So they go from being captured by pirates to being captured by Commander Rip, who is the commander to King Rot, who is the kingdom that was mentioned in the beginning when they were trying to take it over. So, they're captured by Commander Rip, and Commander Rip is like, I'm gonna hold you hostage and get money from King Midas. Obviously. And that's the end of the second book. Which, again, like, it took me 2 seconds to explain all of that. Why was it 300 pages? Why was it 300 pages? I have no idea why it was 300 pages. The third book is where things start to finally happen, which, honestly, you need a lot of commitment to get to book 3. They're stuck with Commander Rip in this wonderful army camp, yes. So there was imprisoned with Commander Rip in this army camp, and all the other saddles have to stay in one tent, but for some unknown reason, she has to stay in Commander Rip's tent because he doesn't trust her or something. I don't know. But slowly but surely, you know, she kind of becomes friends with some of the soldiers, and she kind of like, she doesn't hate Rip anymore. Like, they kind of have a little bit of a banter. You know, he like kind of teaches her how to train. There's some romance that happens. And then like they're fighting because she stepped into this like fight circle, and they're having a little like angry battle because, you know, enemies to lovers and everything like that. And we find out that this bitch with all of her little ribbons is actually Fae. But so that's why she's golden and she has all of these like tendrils on the back of her, is because she's actually a Fae. And Commander Rip is also a Fae, and he didn't think that there were any Fae left because there was a war where the Fae died. And so he's like, oh my god, like, we have to be together. And she's like, we can't be together because I still love King Midas. So finally, they get to the new kingdom that King Midas is residing in. Also, this entire time, there's a POV of the queen from the other kingdom, from King Midas's kingdom, but I genuinely do not give a fuck about her, so every time her POV came on, I was like, what if we just skipped it? And no consequences occurred. You can literally just skip the entirety of her point of view and still understand everything that's happening, which I hate. If you're going to take the time to put in a new character's perspective, at least make me care about the character. They get to King Midas's kingdom. Commander Rip is like, hey, I can talk to King Ra and I can get him to stay if you want to stay with me. Do you want to stay with me? And she's like, I told you, like, I will pick King Midas over you anytime. Like, I love King Midas and he loves me and he takes care of me. And Commander Rip is like, no, heard. But what if you stay here? And she's like, but your king wants to trade me for money. And he's like, I can talk to the king. For sure can talk to the king and just like get it rearranged. And she's like, no, I'm gonna go with King Midas. And so she goes with King Midas, and King Midas is like, hey babe, like, missed you so much. So excited that you're here. And she's like, yes, I'm so excited I'm here too. But like, things have to be different. Like, I no longer want to be in a cage. And he's like, heard. However, consider this. The cage I made you is very pretty. It's so very beautiful and big. It's kind of huge. It's like 3 whole rooms, and it's gonna get bigger. Just like your other cage. It's gonna be great. And she's like, I don't want that though. Like, I'm a new changed woman. I was kidnapped twice. I'm very strong and powerful now. I actually don't want to be in a cage. And he's like, okay, I kind of hate that you're like a feminist and standing up for yourself now. Like, that kind of ruins my whole vibes and plans. So what if, hear me out, you go in the cage half the time? What if we compromise and I just lock you in your room? And she's like, that's not a compromise at all. I hate that. And he's like, oh, we also get King Midas's point of view throughout this. Then he's like, wow, I'm so upset that Arend is like her own woman and she's changed so much. Like, she's not scared of the world anymore, which really fumbles my plans. And so this is when we finally realize, like, oh, maybe King Midas is not a good person, and maybe King Midas actually doesn't love her. Because this whole time we thought, you know, he like saved her from nothing and has like, because she lived in the streets and all of that. So we're thought to believe that King Midas is like an amazing man. But I mean, obviously he's not. He keeps her in a cage, but like, whatever. So she's finally realizing, like, wow, maybe King Midas like doesn't love me. So she doesn't want to be in a cage, and King Midas wants her to be in a cage, and they're all very upset about this whole endeavor. And then she says, if you put me in a cage, I'm not turning anything gold for you ever again. And that's when we realize, Baba Booey, that she's the one who's been turning things gold this whole time and not in fact King Midas as we previously thought. Because she is Fae and has special gold sun powers, apparently, with her little tendrils, and he is just another man using a woman. So he is like, okay, I do need you to turn things gold, so I will let you have a little free range, but a guard has to go with you at all times. And she's like, okay, I will take that. And then Commander Rip, who is still there because Commander Rip was like, I still want to be here because he's in love with Auron and they're kind of still a thing. So he's hanging out with her every once in a while, and there's, you know, there's a lot of tension between the two of them. And he's like, leave King Midas, come live with me, like, I am Fae and you're Fae. That's really all he's got going for him. He's like, we're both Fae. I mean, why shouldn't we fuck? And she's like, because I don't love you. Then eventually, I don't remember what happens. King Midas, I think, locks her in her room again and she gets pissed. So she's like, you know what? King Midas is actually evil. I don't want to turn things gold for him. Commander Rip has got everything going on. I'm deciding I want to meet with Commander Rip. So she goes to Commander Rip's room. So yeah, okay, so she decides to fuck King Rot and she decides to go run away with King Rot because she realizes that King Midas is actually abusive and only loves her because of her powers. And so this was a really, like, heartbreaking decision for her, truly. But she goes and fucks King Rot, and it's incredible and amazing, and the best thing that has ever happened in her whole life, obviously. And then King Midas locks her in her room and is like, if you want to see the people you love, you're going to perform for this party and turn things gold and make it look like it's me, and then I won't kill King Rot and other people you love that I have in prison or whatever. And so she's like, I will never do that. I will never listen to you. And so then he drugs her. So she's at this party and she is blitzed the fuck out, turning things gold. And King Rot is like, I'm gonna save her. And I don't remember what happens, but she gets consciousness again, which is great for her. So then she becomes super powerful and she makes a huge wave of gold and she kills King Midas. And then King Rip is like, you gotta stop, you gotta stop. You're like, you're losing your self-control. Like, you have to end it now. Like, I love you, don't die. And she is not listening to him because she's in her world of, like, ultimate power. You know how they do in, like, the fantasy books where, like, the girl just gets unhinged and has all the power, and then the dude he's in love with is like, come back to me, I can't lose you. That's basically what this scene is. And so then she's still not releasing her power, so he's like, I have to rot her. Because he's the king of rot. He can make things rot, so he rots her so that she's like half dead, half rotting. Which I guess if you're rotting, you're already dead. But so he rots her so that she stops using her power and is basically dead. And then he tries to bring her back and she's not waking up. And everyone is like, if you killed her, I swear. And he's like, if I killed her, I swear. Like, bro, like, I don't want her to die either. This was the only thing I could think of. And then that's where the book ends. And then there is another book coming. So that's book 3, which objectively was the most bookish of all the other books. The rest of the books were kind of just like a short story that was taking way too many words. It's Inconvenience Amanda Week. I've been inconvenienced several times. And one of the biggest inconveniences was having to read a 700-page book. But the one thing I will say about this book is it does continue to be on the theme of it could have been one book. Because really, it was 700 pages and it did not need to be. So we left off and she was using her powers to kill King Midas, and then Rip was rotting her because she was losing control and was gonna die, right? That was where we left off. I think that's where the book ends. And so the 4th book begins with her not being dead, but being asleep. She continues to be asleep for 126 pages. Oh, hi, Bonite. So she continues to be asleep for 126 pages, and during that time, it's just a lot of... Oh, his name is Slade, also, I forgot. His name is not actually Rip, it's actually Slade. So Slade's point of view is just, I really hope Arin wakes up. She's the love of my life, and I need her more than anything in my whole world, and I just want her to be awake and happy again. And so that goes on for 126 pages. Also, when he rotted her, and then unrotted her. So a little piece of rot stayed with her in her soul and wouldn't leave. And it's not really relevant at all, but they do mention it like 5 or 6 times, so good for them. But she finally wakes up. She finally heals enough that she's awake, and when she does wake up, she is just all sorts of torment and anguish and PTSD. She's tormented because, you know, King Midas has given her a lot of PTSD, and she no longer has the like weird dangly things that she had that made her fae, her ribbons that were attached to her back because King Midas cut them off, and she like can't use her power for whatever reason. She's just going through it. She's having a rough fucking time, and I mean, aren't we all? Really. So finally she masters her powers, and she is now a strong, badass bitch, and her and Slade are just happy and in love, but everyone else is very upset because they think that Arin stole King Midas's powers and is just seducing another king to steal his powers too. So everyone is like, ugh, that Arin... Can't believe her. How dare she steal our king's powers. Like, this is so messed up. And all of these people are saying that she must go to trial to speak of the crimes that she committed. So everyone thinks that Arin killed King Midas and stole his powers, and that she is guilty of many crimes and needs to go to trial to face these crimes. And Slade is like, she's not doing anything. No way, that's not happening. She's not going to trial to get killed for no reason. Then, you know, not a whole lot happens because this book is 700 pages, and the main plot after Arin wakes up is that she needs to go to trial for her sins and that she doesn't want to. There's a lot of smut, and I'm not gonna lie, the worst smut I've read is still Neon Gods, but this must have to be a close second because the dirty talk in this book is absolutely cringeworthy. I'm not gonna say any of the things, it's just they were bad. I sent them to my friends and they were like, oh god, what are you reading? And I was like, I don't know anymore. Basically, like, Arin is like, I can't believe I've gotten into a relationship right after I got out of a toxic one. Like, what if I'm just jumping from men to men? Like, I might need some time to myself to just, like, screw randos and live my life. And Rip is like, if you want to screw randos, like, screw randos, but your soul belongs to me. And then they just, like, have sex in a carriage in the fucking square of his goddamn kingdom. And he's like, yeah, like, do whatever you want, bestie. Like, you live your best life. However, like, our souls are each other's. So it was a lot of like, you're your own free woman and you can do whatever you desire. However, I am fucking this pussy though. Which I just wasn't a huge fan of, if I'm being completely honest. It didn't sit well with me at all. But yeah, so there's like some cringy smut. Everyone's talking about how she needs to or she doesn't need to go to trial because many people have different opinions on this. And we also find out that the reason that Rip is named Rip is because he accidentally ripped a hole in... He ripped a hole in, Deadwell is the name of the, like, village that they're currently residing in. So he ripped a hole in Deadwell, and now, apparently, all of the people who live in Deadwell's souls are attached to this hole and his power, apparently. And this is relevant for the last bit of the book, because the last bit of the book, she does get captured and is brought to trial because she must be, you know, charged with her sins. So she's at trial and everyone's like, you're guilty, and they put her in this like cage where it sucks out her powers. So I think the only reason that they mentioned that Slade couldn't get a piece of his raw out of her is because at the end, when she's at trial and they are sucking all of her powers out of her, pieces of rot start coming out of her too, and everyone's like, oh my god, she's stealing Rip's powers too, like look at her, she's stealing King Rot's powers, she needs to be punished for her crimes. Which, like, I don't know, I guess. It seems like a little silly thing to put in there, but sure, why not, I guess, if that's allowed. So, just at trial, they're like, you're guilty of crimes because look, you're stealing Rip's powers too, like, ha ha ha, we know you're evil, we're gonna kill you now. And then Slade finally rescues her and he's like, no, they're not gonna touch you, Aaron, like, and he uses his big strong powers and he creates a rip in the city so that he can rescue Aaron. And then Aaron falls into that rip and then that rip closes up. So then they go to the rip in Deadwell and then that rip is closed up too, which means that Aaron is trapped in some like pocket universe, I guess? I don't really know. And then that's the end of the book, because obviously we are incapable of leaving a book if it's not a cliffhanger. We're on book 4 of this series, and I still think that this could have been one book, baby. I mean, let's just cut out like 500 pages from this one, right? We really only need like a chapter of Aaron being asleep if we're being completely honest. And then we only really need like 100 pages of them debating whether or not they need to go to the trial for her crimes and her getting stronger with her magical powers, really, if we're being honest. And so like what we could have just done is had the beginning where Midas kills the king for wanting to sleep with her, and then she gets kidnapped, and then she uses her magic powers. And then if we really wanted to, we could have ended it there and then had another shorter book, but we really could have just had her use her magic powers, and then instead of just like King Rip rotting her and making her go to sleep, she could have just like looked into his eyes and like released her powers and realized that, like, you know, she can control her powers. And then still we could have had like the whole trial thing, and then we could have had the book end with her being trapped in a pocket dimension, and then book 2 could have started. If they had just made it one book, I think this would have been a stunning series, truly. I would have rated it probably like 3 stars. But it's 4 books, and one of them is 700 pages, so it gets a 1 star across the board. Thank you for watching the series It Could Have Been One Book, where I talk about a book and it could have been one book. This could have been one book, and there are so many other books that could have been one book. Thanks for watching. All my other videos have been 24 minutes, so let's see if I can make this 24 minutes or less. Who's to say? I hope you have a better day than I'm having, and have a good evening.